Yes, sir. I think you were done.
I'm looking at the class size numbers that were mentioned early on. And you've got the oldest of the non-secondary students with the smallest class size. Generally speaking, with the research, that's upside down. What educational theory was used to form the class size?
Just to clarify, the primary, which is K 1 through 2, is 25. 3-5 is 27. Right. Is that what? I thought I heard you say reverse.
The middle schools, you gave us a total per teacher, which works out to 23 per class.
And I think, if I may, just from a mathematics standpoint, when we look at our staffing allocations, it's based on enrollment. Our enrollment at the middle school has been relatively flat. So if we do the plus teacher analysis, what happens to the class size if we add or reduce one teacher versus if we subtract a teacher, we look at what those loads would be afterwards. By reducing teachers to increase those class size, we would have exceeded that 27 per student. So that's why it's a flat, and that's why there's no staffing, either additions or reductions at the middle school, because we're trying to manage it within... I'm sorry?
There's no educational basis for class size?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, you're saying, why is it 23? That wasn't necessarily a cognizant decision. It was based on the ratios of if we were to add a teacher or reduce a teacher.
Well, my question was, what education...
I was giving you the math. I'll defer to them to answer that.
Most of the research shows that in order for class sizes to have any impact on academic achievement, you've got to get really, really low. Once you start getting over 12 to 15, it really doesn't matter. This budget has been extremely difficult in terms of making some very difficult decisions. And we wish we didn't have to cut any teachers, but the only way we can get down to a reasonable budget and tax rate increase is by making those cuts.
Are the class sizes shown in this bolded box the current class sizes as well? 25 at K2 and 27 at 3-5? Because it says the budget includes that, but I mean, is that what we currently have, or is that
We were, this year's budget, the 10-11 budget, we are looking at up to 25 for the current year as well. We overestimated what our enrollment was at the elementary level, so actual class sizes are around 22 to 23 right now. So we're looking at 1 to 2 student increase at the elementary level.
It is the same at the middle school level as it is this year. It's a slight increase for high school.
And I'm glad to see that you're going to do something about truancy. I think that's been an ongoing problem in this district for quite a number of years. I'm also wondering, what are we doing about people who are coming to school here but don't live here and don't belong here? I know there was something about that in the news a few years ago that was rather startling. What is the current status of getting rid of these people who are ripping us off for services?
Well, actually, quietly, we've had for the last several years our own private investigator who does our residency investigations, and every year we remove a fair number. I haven't been in charge of student services for a while, so I can't give you a number. Maybe Deb could, but we did two things. When I was in charge of student services, one, we controlled to the extent we could the entry into the district. In other words, there's a lot of paperwork to register, and there were an awful lot of students that were not allowed to register because they couldn't provide necessary proof of residency. And then once they're in, we contract with a private investigator to actually do our, I don't know what you want to call it,
to make sure that they are residents.
Right, but I mean, we actually stake houses out. I mean, it's actually after we find out that someone, after it appears that someone is not a legal resident, and we get tipped off by a neighbor or a bus driver says we see a car come and drop their kids off at the bus stop every day, we will use our private investigator to actually perform an investigation. So.
Well, and nobody's been doing it. Somebody ought to take a look at what goes on Black Walnut Drive morning and afternoon with kids who are being dropped off and picked up at the end of the day. I've heard about this. I've seen some of it.
We encourage people to call us and report those things so that we can, I mean, if The more detailed information you can give us, location, actual address, description of a car, that sort of thing.
It's a neighborhood. I mean, it's not like it's in front of the same house every day type of thing. I think somebody from the district should be paying attention.
Yeah, I'll think that, we'll look at it.
If you can give us a better location than just Black Walnut Drive, we will look into it, yeah.
Midway, Black Walnut Drive.
Okay.
I mean, it's not really that long of a street, but there are a number of cars that seem to be dropping off and picking up kids on a routine basis. I live in the neighborhood. I see it.
Well, I want you
Our estimate of education. Is that true? How much does these actually included in that one?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear what that part was.
About the lottery? The state lottery?
Oh, that's built into our foundation aid. So we have our $55 million is our allocation for foundation aid, which lottery funds a significant portion of that. I believe our lottery payment this year was $14 million. And that's included in our base state aid. The state just runs that through and funds what the formulas are. Yes, sir.
What about the...
Yeah, I don't have the actual number, but
It looks like a staggering number.
let me throw some other statistics out that we didn't include this, and I think they're probably still fairly accurate, but like I said, it's been a few years since I've been involved in the student services piece of that. We used to look at very carefully the number of absences of our high school students, and in our three biggest high schools, we were running an average of about 20% of our student population missing at least 18 days a year. Now, to me, it really didn't matter whether they were excused or unexcused. If they missed that much school, they're going to have a tough time doing well. So student absenteeism is a real big concern. If you do the math, 20% of our students with 350 kids in a grade level, you're talking about a significant number of kids, 300 to 400 per high school, that are missing that many classes or days.
Can you tell us what the rate of teacher absenteeism is and how much that costs?
I don't have that figure, no, but I can find it out.
Our substitute budget is close to $1.4 million, I believe. So that's our teacher absence, teacher substitute line item is about $1.4 million.
And how stable is that?
It has increased over the last, I haven't been able to, I haven't trended to give, or I haven't memorized anyway what the stat is as far as days, but the rate per day has gone up. So we have seen an increase in that over the last several years. But I don't have the breakdown versus percentage that's contributing to the rate per day versus the number of days. That's available.
Correlation between student absence and teacher absence by any chance?
That could be. Yes.
I'm just saying that, if you have the...
Are you losing funding by the kids?
At one point, several years ago, that did have an impact on our aid. That's why our attendance rate was very critical, and we were monitoring closely. When Governor Spitzer took office, he adopted this foundation aid formula, which made it based on enrollment and took less reliance on average daily attendance. So it's based on a weighted enrollment. So our general education students would generate so many dollars as far as state aid. A special needs student would generate, X dollars plus the ratio.
Sounds like we've had a meeting here.
I want to thank all of you for your questions and for the opportunity to talk about the budget, the many issues that we've had to face this year. I'd like to say this was a one-year problem, but we expect next year will be even worse as far as state funding and all the other issues. So it's going to be a difficult process for the next few years at least. But thank you very much for coming, and I appreciate it. I'll be around for a little while if there are other questions.